Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living by the Law, the podcast discussing fictional worlds and how wondrous and ridiculous they are. My name is Matt, and I'm joined by my co-host, Jude and Guy.
Hey.
Hey!
Hey.
Hey!
Fuck's sake.
It's a live studio audience this time.
Of one who doesn't want to listen to us. Hey, Gemma. She's waving. This is terrible.
What are we doing this time, Jude?
Do you have a message from our sponsor first, Matt?
Oh, I usually go intro before then sponsor, but okay, let's go.
No, I always put the sponsor first.
I am dumb.
You are.
Living by the Law is not currently sponsored. If you wish to sponsor us, disguise yourself as an old man and sneak into the movies with that senior's discount. Reveal your savings and scream your sponsorship offers to the movie audience. We will hear you. We always do.
And as cleverly alluded to there by our gracious co-host Matt, this episode will be about shapeshifters and the various forms they take and our favourite and least favourite examples from media. So this is going to contain spoilers for fucking everything, probably. Some Sanderson bits and bobs, some D&D bits and bobs, some...
Is it D&D spoilers?
D&D spoilers? Yeah.
D&D spoilers just leads to metagaming.
It does.
I've got some
metagaming D&D spoilers.
I've got some Dirk Gently spoilers. I've
Yeah.
got some fucking X-Men spoilers.
Okay.
There is literally nearly every...
We're covering a lot of
universe has
IPs in this episode.
Yeah. I wonder if we should have closely said which ones we were considering. Anyway,
Don't worry about it.
yeah.
We definitely have covered the same topic over each other.
Definitely.
I was thinking that so much during my note-taking. I was like, I shouldn't bother putting that much effort into these notes because Matt's going to have it covered.
Yeah.
Jude's going to have it covered.
Anyway.
So I just did stupid examples.
So, anyway, I was getting off of a plane 2 days ago, and I had, funnily enough, this for those on the Patreon watching the video, this actual book right here was in my hands. I'm rereading it currently because I have no life. And there was someone a couple rows back who saw me with the book under my arm and was like, is that Mistborn? And I was like, yeah, it is. And this person was like, they were a child. They like okay, maybe not a child. They were probably like 14, 15 sort of age. So not like
They were 1 year younger than Jude.
shut the fuck up. No, but they were small. They were definitely a kid, right? And then
The term for that is called a teenager, Jude.
What? It's a teenager. Anyway, they said, oh, yeah, I've read all the Stormlight archives. I've read a whole bunch of Tolkien stuff. I've read, like, Elantris and Warbreaker, but I haven't got to Mistborn yet. Is it good? And I was like, you know, externally I had a chilled conversation. That's that awkward where you're, like, waiting for people to start moving so you can get your bags. You can't really move anywhere
I
off
never
the
wait
plane.
for those. I get my bag as soon as I can, sprint to the front of the plane before the seatbelt sign's even off.
You are the worst person.
You are the
of all
worst.
time.
I'm
You
the
are-
best person because I'm off the plane first. That sounds like a loser's opinion.
Okay, this fucking guy. No, you're stuck there in like the mush of bodies. So there's external conversations just kind of being like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, I'm rereading it. Oh yeah, good series, good author. Internally, I'm like, this is the equivalent of someone going, oh yeah, so like I've read the Silmarillion. Do you think the Hobbit's gonna be okay to read? Like, is it gonna be too dense? Like, bro, you started with the dictionary and have then asked if you can read the Mr. Men books. But anyway, it got me thinking about things in Mistborn series, and one of them is probably my favorite iteration of Shapeshifters.
Oh, Shapeshifters.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
That's what we're talking about.
Was
like,
that today?
That's today, yeah.
Ah, fuck.
I know, right?
I'd be shifting shapes. What's a shape?
What's a shift?
Are you a geometry expert?
I'd call myself a geometry fan, you know?
A fan of geometry?
Hexagons go pretty hard.
I did
They
look
actually do.
Why don't we use them in our D&D campaign, Jude?
Because they fucking suck. For map curation, I've told because every single map asset.
hexagons are the bestagons.
Anyone that makes maps for people in D&D campaigns as a DM and makes maps for people and has to use assets to meticulously make maps will understand no asset is ever made and never fits well with hexagons. But the hexagons are better for the...
So, anyway, I had a look online when I heard we were doing shapeshifters, and I was like, but what's a shapeshifter, you know? So I looked at a couple different definitions, a couple I disagreed with, a couple I agree with. So I kind of came to one, which was one with the ability to fully or partially transform oneself into another form. Again, very loose.
It is.
Because I think there is a lot we could call shapeshifting. I think today we got to draw a line.
Yeah, we do. Well, that was the first chunk that I think we could do that's going to be the majority of the episode. Talk about some of our favorite examples and see if we can arrive at a line. And then I thought it'd be cool to talk about some of the things we like about shapeshifting from a narrative point of view, what we like about what a shapeshifter can bring to media that you enjoy, stuff like that.
It's an archetype, and like why it's so used in hobby fiction, and why it can tell such an interesting story and different stories.
Exactly. Well, first off, Guy, what's a good line for shapeshifting in your opinion?
A line, as in like
what is a shapeshifter?
I had a bunch of my notes devoted to the argument of where shapeshifting lies.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, because here's okay. I'll go over what I'm talking about. So, shapeshifting, obviously, like freeform shapeshifting, actual form, all the rest of that, totally counts as a shapeshifter. Totally fine.
Yeah.
My question was like, okay, werewolves?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does it count because it's not willing?
Yes.
Vampire.
Yes.
Turns into a bat. Still counts. I'm totally online with this. I totally count them as shapeshifters.
Yep.
My question then, is Bane a shapeshifter? He injects venom into himself and it takes on an enhanced form of himself, which is physically different.
That is a absolutely amazing example I would never have thought of.
Question, does it count if they can't change back?
No.
Okay, because my slippery slope example was going to be, well, Captain America. Same thing, injects chemicals, becomes a different form. And but technically there's been multiple examples in the show of him losing that. Just because he isn't like Bane and technically has the pipes in him 24/7 doesn't make him not a shapeshifter.
See, my problem with Bane not being a shapeshifter, it's like, where do you draw a line? Because I have a whole list of questions you have to ask to define your shapeshifter. And there's like types. And I was trying to do type shapeshifter, and I'm like, it's not really types. It's like there's questions of two binaries or a couple different options, and you can like, what category do you fit into through all of them? And I think Bane's really interesting because it sets a line because if Bane's not a shapeshifter, if he uses science to shapeshift, right? To change his form.
Yes.
Then Ben 10's not a shapeshifter.
True, because he uses DNA injection.
Yeah, exactly.
I did notes on Ben 10 too.
I actually didn't because I heard you were doing it.
There you go.
But I know Ben 10. I don't need.
We're all Ben 10 experts here. I understand that.
So already, let's maybe say that we can agree for now, before we get into weird examples, that anatomically changing your shape into something else and then changing back, or having your shape changing back, is shapeshifting.
Yeah, the line I would draw between Bane and Captain America, which is what I was going to bring up, is Captain America's transformation through chemicals is permanent. Yeah. It's an enhancement. It's not a shape change in like a malleable form, whereas Venom is temporary.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I think there's a couple. I think there's a couple questions. I have a couple questions here. But I think one question that's the difference is a shapeshifter changes their own form, and that could be through their own technology. But Captain America does not know how to shapeshift.
No, he doesn't.
He was given the serum.
He was put on that bed and stuck with those needles. That
Bane
sexy,
controls
sexy
where
man
that
came out of that steamy little chamber.
I'd touch his peck. Would you touch his peck?
I'd squeeze that fucking thing.
I'd lick it.
Damn, babe. Because my final...
She's a bit thirsty today. Is that some of that water?
Because my final line on that slippery slope is, if you count Captain America, which we don't, but for the sake of argument, if you do, would that not mean that any form of taken chemical that makes a change in a body over time, even if permanent, counts you as a shapeshifter. Therefore, meaning every single one of us is a shapeshifter. Hormones in your body during puberty change you from one form to another, therefore we're all shapeshifters.
I think we can cross that off
Of
because
course.
you can't necessarily. Oh, I suppose you could put more chemical. You can use hormones.
You can
to then
trans
change
your gender.
You can.
It's not a superpower, it's a real science.
This is true. This is true.
I don't count them as shapeshifters though, because it's as much as I
think
want,
you're
as
taking
much
away
as
from-
the trans
I think you're
community
taking
has
away from
had
trans
too much
people.
taken off it already.
I was going to say, I think you're taking away from the trans
I
community.
know, I'm so sorry, but if we don't count Captain America, we can't. That's such a terrible
You've heard it here
sentence. I'm
first.
so sorry.
Guy
I
wants
don't.
to-
I obviously don't want that to be the implication of what I'm saying. But, yeah.
So on the note of TERFs,
love trans people.
Harry Potter. So this is kind of one of the arms that I was thinking of. We can go to a very similar example to this, the polyjuice potion. Would we? How are we gonna?
interesting.
Because the thing that the interesting part of that is, are we saying that being a shapeshifter is either you are or you aren't a shapeshifter, or are we saying that the chemical is the shapeshifter? Because Hermione Granger isn't a shapeshifter, right? But if she takes some polyjuice potion, she can be a shapeshifter. And in a traditional sense, polyjuice potion, because it physically changes them, it's not an illusion, it's a physical
no.
change. That is much more of a classic shapeshifter than, say, Bane. Because yes, Bane, we could argue being a shapeshifter, but it's more of an enhancement than a big change, whereas a polyjuice potion is a full body change.
Can we? I think you're right. I was gonna say that science is just a shapeshifting method, but I think we do have to draw a line because when you talk to methods, I mean, science and magic, same thing depending on the universe. That I think
Something indistinguishable from magic, blah blah blah.
Yeah. Okay, Thor, shut up.
Actually, sorry, on that note, this just
My people
clicked.
called science. Your
Yeah.
people called science. My people called magic. I don't know. Yeah,
What's that from again? Oh, it's from
Thor.
Thor. Isn't it?
It's from the first
yeah,
Thor.
Yeah, that's right. No, I was sorry. On that note, I was reading a book by an unknown author, and there was just this random throwaway line where they had like a magic system from another world / book series land in this book series, and then that person started using their magic system from the other book in front of the people from this book, and they were like, "What the fuck? That's some kind of magic." And then they're like, "What do you mean? You do that thing in your world?" And then she's like, "Yeah, but that makes perfect sense according to science in our world."
It's why I've always said our technology, our phones, our laptops, that's all magic.
Yeah,
It's all,
yeah.
This is
It's
all
all
magic.
magic.
Physics,
It's all
it
real
is.
magic.
Physicists, chemists, biologists. If you're a scientist, you're a magician in this world.
I agree. And if you pull rabbits out of hats, you're also a magician.
You're a fake. You're a fraud. And we love you.
You're just sad because every time we've met a magician, they've roasted you.
They robbed me. No, they don't roast me. They robbed me.
I don't know what it is about those magicians, but they've got something against
They
you.
just don't like you.
No, but I think of it this way. Like, where I work at the retail store, we have out the back there people who are like thieves. We've got photos of them. They've stolen before. You know, it's like, watch out for these people. Magicians have got a back room somewhere where they've got a pic of Matt Doyle up saying, harass this man.
I thought you said I just want a separate wall to the robbers to the magicians that come into my shop.
Keep these fuckers out.
That's my. If I ever have a business, that'll be it.
So it's more tangential here, but yeah, polyjuice potion. How's that going to factor into it? That's the curveball.
Okay, I would argue that we draw a distinction between shapeshifting as a power versus the archetype of a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
If you use shapeshifting as your primary method, for example, a Plastic Man or whatever fuck else, that's your main ability, therefore you are a shapeshifter.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that a wizard can't shapeshift.
Yeah.
I think this rolls really well into my questions of shapeshifting types. So I think one, we can draw a line of, do you use something to shapeshift, or is shapeshifting part of what just you can do? Is it part of you? I think that's really key. So that's like using magic or using science or any other method, or if you're in your DNA, your ability is to shapeshift.
Right. No, that makes sense of an ability you have versus...
Yeah, because Bane, while you could argue Bane is a shapeshifter, Venom isn't his thing. it is his thing.
He
but
doesn't, but he doesn't produce it.
he doesn't
internally.
produce it. He doesn't produce it internally. He doesn't secrete it from some venom sac in his tits. I don't know. He maybe he does. I don't know.
I'd test it.
At this point,
Try it out.
Give it a squeeze.
I'd lick it. It's a very gay podcast.
Hey. If it's Tom Hardy's Bane, hubba hubba. No, but you
merely adopted the tit. I was fed by it.
Nurtured by it.
suckled on it. Anyway, fuck me. This is.
I didn't
I didn't know that the three of us sitting knee to knee would make it this gay, but I could have seen it coming.
I didn't have cow's milk till I was almost a man.
Jude's dead.
So, types of shapeshifters.
Types of podcasts.
Not
this one.
There's willing or forced.
Yep.
Yep.
So, like vampire versus werewolf.
Yep.
There is born or given. Were you born with it or were you given to it? That can be like the magic or the thing. But also, I think there's like a third type there. They were given it, but they kind of like it's part of them now.
Yeah.
It means like
Yeah.
it's now part of them.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Yeah.
animorphs, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So distinguishing between a shapeshifter at birth versus like a wizard who learned how to shapeshift versus someone like Bane who has the ability to shapeshift but only through external means.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Because like
Yeah.
there's races like the Scrolls who can just that's part of them.
The
That's
Who?
just them. The Skrulls.
They're a alien race in Marvel Comics that it's genetically they can shapeshift.
Gotcha. Right.
Also from the hit series Secret Invasion on Disney Plus.
Okay, we're not talking about Secret Invasion. I will.
I've been meaning to watch that. Is it any good?
It's great, man. It's like the lowest rated Disney show ever. It's so good.
I might tip this table over.
Like legit, I think the last episode has like literally a 20% Rotten Tomatoes. It's hilarious.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nasty.
Anyway.
Anyway, so was that as I said, born or given? Complete form.
Yep.
Limited features or paint change, which is a change paint, which I kind of want to call it. Okay, complete form is you can change into anything, right? Anything, no limitations. Change of paint, I think, is like you're still a humanoid, but you can change your entire body. Then there's limited features. I can give myself cat ears or cat eyes or change like my hand is something.
Yeah.
Because I can't do my whole body, but I can do my hand. There's on command or limited. So do they have control over it? And my other one was magic or science, but I think we already covered that.
Yeah.
I would argue in the form side of things, along with change of paint, I'd argue there's also a illusion base to it, because I'm thinking of the difference between disguise self from D&D visually changes your form, but if you ever interact with it, it's an illusion.
Yeah.
Versus someone like original Mystique from X-Men. In the original comic, she couldn't change her mass, didn't gain powers, didn't gain anything, didn't even gain any mass, but could visually change herself to a different person.
I think illusions are cheating.
That's cheating.
I think I honestly, I would actually, I was going to say that was a big distinction I wanted to make. I actually think illusion-based shapeshifting isn't shapeshifting at all. I think by definition, it is not shapeshifting. Shapeshifting is an anatomical geometric change. It is literally shapeshifting. That is my opinion, and I will die on that hill.
Okay, no, I didn't do any
Illusion wizards
ones.
can go. If you're an illusion wizard, you can leave.
If you're an illusion
now.
wizard,
No,
go
if you're
fuck
if you're an
yourself.
illusion wizard, you're cooler. I like you more, but you're not a shapeshifter. I
That's
think.
what you heard. Jude hates shapeshifters. You just heard that here and
Okay, I have a caveat.
Yeah, I do. So I killed them off.
I have
there
some...
are no shapeshifters in our world. They're all dead. In our D&D world. He killed them. Every one of them.
Thing
He
is,
slaughtered them like animals.
Is that a Star Wars reference?
Yeah.
like animals. And I slaughtered them.
Your side off Ahsoka's really good.
Ahsoka is really good.
Damn.
I like
Anyway.
a soaking in my bath.
I am watching that show, man.
What? I have one in here that is not only able to change their shape physically, but also has the powers of an illusionist. How are we feeling about them?
That's fine. That's fine.
That's fine?
But
Whatever their illusion powers, we don't give a shit about them.
Yeah.
but we-
Okay, cool. Irrelevant to the
I think
point.
look, I think honestly what it is as well, I think there definitely needs to be a line between calling someone a shapeshifter and someone that has the power of shape-shifting. Because the wizard example you were using before, Matt, to go back to like say D&D, but not in D&D terms for people of our listeners that don't know D&D, which is very possible. you get a really gifted wizard who's learned how to do something like shape change, which is by definition a shapeshift thing. That person, I think you would be incorrect to call that wizard a shapeshifter, but they have the power of shapeshifting.
Yeah, that's going.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's going back to. I would reiterate that as my point of the difference between the power of shapeshifting and the ability and like the archetype of a shapeshifter.
100%.
Oh, I actually missed that earlier. Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Well, that sort of leads nicely into one of the major examples that I wanted to talk about. Now we've kind of got a bit of a definition here, and I think we'll find that this one fits pretty cleanly into our definition of an anatomical.
You get there.
I'll get there.
I believe in you.
Shapeshifter that is just. Yeah, I don't like you.
Oh no.
Man, my insults cut so much more when we're in face to face.
Yeah, damn.
I'm sorry.
It's kind of fucking mean.
I'm just a bully. Fuck me.
And this feels so much more, a little more formal right now. And so a formal insult when you're sitting in a studio feels like an official statement from Dubai. You know what I mean?
It is.
Someone being mean to me when I'm having a school debate with them cuts deeper than someone calling me the N-word on a video game.
Yeah, no, I totally. Yeah, no,
the anonymity and the space.
I totally agree. When I'm playing League of Legends and I'm awful at the game, and someone's in the chat going, "Oh my god, worst top ever! You suck! What the fuck are you? What are you doing here?"
First, Jude's a top laner.
Shut up.
And he's shit.
Shut up. But like, that's my point. Matt, these two going, "Yeah, shit." Here is like, but that person flaming me in League, it's like. He's mad.
You goofy little goober.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you've ever played Rocket League, but water saving someone is the most satisfying feeling of all time. And or when your teammate makes a bad hit and it hits right to them and they score a goal and it's just saying great pass. And just,
okay, yeah. That's the saltiness.
Oh, it's rough. It's rough, but it's good.
My example that I wanted to get into is, of course, because why wouldn't it be? It's just me Sanderson trapping you all.
You son of a bitch. I always get Sanderson trapped. I hate this. Let me out.
We've been stuck in this Janice Sanderson trap for months. Help! Send help!
Months?
Yes!
No, it's only a small aside. It's not going to be anything too.
I need to add the episode lengths up of Brandon Sanderson together to see how long we've been subjecting our listeners, like how many hours of Sanderson content we have.
I dread to think.
Probably a really.
We
good
need to
number.
send that number to Brandon Sanderson's agent. And
Hey,
be like,
Brandon Sanderson,
if
we've talked about you.
Legally, if we've done enough hours on you, you have to.
It's community. It's like community service.
That's when we just get a reply saying, and all of them have been false. No. So there's a thing in the Mistborn universe called a Kandra, which I have talked about previously in our podcast when we did an episode on the Mistborn universe. My descriptions here will be stripped away to be as spoiler-free to the books as possible, but they are a very, very, very typical shapeshifter that appear in both the first and second era of the world. So the first series and then the one that's a while later. And they form a slightly different role, but from a general standpoint, their basic form is a pile of greyish mush that kind of flobbers along the ground.
Yeah.
And that's all they are.
That's how I move around as well. I flobber along.
Yeah. They are, if you remember way back to our Mistborn episode, do you remember there was the metal powers, and there was the push, and there was the ingesting metals, and there was the storing things in metals, and there was the spikes that let you do things. They were a creation of these spikes. So there's these little spikes that go into the blob, and then it makes the blob sentient. This blob can then ingest bones or a body. If it ingests a body, it will very quickly and graphically destroy and disintegrate the bits of flesh and gore, and will just be left with bones. And from the bones, it is able to perfectly reconstruct the person or thing that it was. While originally, it's pretty quickly revealed that it doesn't have to be a human. It could be, say, a dog. It could be another animal. Presumably a different species as well, though we haven't really seen that because the premise of that world isn't really that far advanced yet.
Does it need to have bones?
The bones is the important
The
part.
bones are essential.
The bones are essential.
That's actually really interesting because some shapeshifters don't need like either to be able to see it or like a physical thing.
Yeah.
Do
that's really interesting.
plants have bones?
No, they don't. What are you talking about?
I'm trying to find a plant
Plants
with
don't
bones.
have any bones.
I don't know.
It does mean that
You okay, guy? You ever stepped on like a flower and gone, oh, look at these flower bones?
Some of them are
they are crunchy.
You ever cut down a tree? You ever seen wood in the fire? There's no bones there.
I'm glad that Quora exists, though, because I've come across a Quora question that says, does any plant have a bone? And then the reply is no.
Nice. But yeah,
God.
so they are predominantly an infiltrator. So in the first era, once again a stripped back, non-spoilery way of describing them, they are a sort of freelance shapeshifter for hire that very, very rich people can buy with very expensive products in the world. And they are kind of revered and feared as they are immortal beings that have spent their entire fucking life, so we're talking like thousands of years at this point, doing nothing but taking shapes, impersonating, copying a human's personality. So they are very good at it. But it does depend on them taking knowledge from the person before they eat them. Or getting to know the person well enough before they eat them.
I was gonna say, do they get the knowledge from eating them, or do they have to meet?
They have to learn it, and they have to become good at impersonating them. And there is, to an extent, there are examples of some Kandra that are better at impersonating than others. So it is definitely a skill-based thing.
It's a skill issue.
It is a skill issue. And even down to things like impersonating the voice. There is a character who's really, really good at impersonating voices that isn't a Kandra. Then he's actually better than some Kandra at doing the voices. So it's less about the actual direct sound of their voice. The Kandra will perfectly mimic their voice from like a anatomical point of view because it's reconstructing their vocal cords. But things like working on the cadence of the voice, how that person talks, and all of like the finer details of impersonating.
Oh yeah, and how they react and stuff would be crazy.
Yeah, 100%. So they are perfect standing clones, but there is definitely a skill side of it involved. So
it's really interesting because like I'm trying to think of a shapeshifter that just like knows them when they form. I'm trying to think of one.
I have one kind of.
Do the ones from The Witcher know them when they do it, when they transform? I can't remember if they do. I
don't think they do. No, I don't think they copy them.
I've got an example. Well, Nico is one of my examples from League of Legends, who's a Vestian. One of their things is that they use the spirit realm as the source of powers.
Okay.
An ancient race, which then comes down to Nico. She's probably the most ancient race akin character in League.
Yeah.
But when she is copying something or someone, she's actually reaching into their soul and taking a part of it.
Whoa.
So she actually has extremely strong empath abilities as well. So she actually takes on and learns a lot. It's very interesting.
I hate
it's
that.
very funny though, because sometimes she's like, I just want to understand you, and then she'll just turn into the person she's sitting in front of and they'll be like, what the fuck are you doing?
I hate that. Yeah.
It's so good.
Please never do that. That's horrible.
Nico's great. She's just stupid.
Yeah, fuck that. But then I always thought Nico was more of like an illusion-based shape-shifting.
Nope,
but...
physical.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
With this Kandra,
Yes.
are they made?
Yes.
Or are they born?
They are made.
Which that's interesting, right? So like
They are, once again, taking as much spoileriness out of it as possible. They are a direct creation of God, in a sense.
They're a direct creation of God. They are Christ-like creatures.
I mean like a human creation.
They are not created by humans.
I mean, you could say that we're created in the God, but
Are we?
I don't know. Depends.
You heard it here first. The Christianity episode coming soon.
I've thought about it. I mean, hey, there is examples of demons and angels shapeshifting. I mean, they're supposed to have like a proper form that's very hard to view as a.
Yeah, what's the backstory behind that snake? I never really understood that. That's episode 1, and they throw some shit like that in there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, isn't it?
It's really
Yeah,
weird.
Yeah.
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or not.
I'm not.
Okay. That's Satan. Okay. My God.
My sarcasm has
Yikes.
layers. I'm so sorry.
Layers. Sorry.
Yeah, layers like shapeshifters.
I love Shrek.
Yeah.
So did the Conjurer get up into some goofy shit or any unique shapeshifter abilities?
They do. So the unique side of them that starts to get explored later on is less about how they can, steal someone's bones and become them.
I hate that sentence.
Oh, it's pretty fun. There's a couple moments where, especially the second era, the Conjurer become a little bit less mysterious and a bit more. You actually start to get a few more familiar characters that are Conjurer, and you get to see them a little bit less. They're a lot less mystique than in the first era. And you start to see simple things like some of them aren't actually very good at societal communication. So one of them will just start talking about.
Really? I can't imagine the thing
the
that
bone-stealing blood monster, yeah.
He's not good in a social situation.
I wouldn't guess that.
Wouldn't have guessed it.
So there's a great moment where they're trying to hunt. There's someone trying to kill a political figure, and the main people involving a Conjurer are trying to protect this political figure. And then one of the members of the politician's guards is killed. And then the Conjurer goes, "Oh, all good, guys. I'll take care of the body." And then she drags the body off into a bathroom, and then she just rips off all the armor and just starts ripping the body apart and dissolving it. And all the other guards are like, what the fuck?
Question. Do they need to see what the person looks like, or do they just need the bones?
They just need the bones.
Excellent.
So there is a degree of history to it, I guess, in a sense, where the person's bones presumably have some sort of kind of similar to Nico's spiritual connection, I guess.
I mean, there's also
the
there's
implication.
DNA in them bones.
There is, but can you construct an entire appearance based on that?
Also, you'd have to know how they cut their hair, how they shave, what age. I mean, you can probably get age of the bones actually.
Well, the hair is one thing where they have to base that a little bit off of memory and of sight of the person. So
but at the same time, depending on how out of the way the bones are, I've got a jungle explorer who's disappeared into the jungle, and I've now found their bones. If I walk back out looking shaggy as fuck, no one's gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%.
What about scars?
Well, that's the thing.
That's a classic archetype of scars going away when people shapeshift.
Well, that is the thing. They do imitate all of that sort of stuff perfectly. But
Wait, do they?
They do.
Huh.
That's
they do.
Interesting.
And the other thing about them as well is that they are continually malleable while they're in this shape. So one of the things that separates them from another shapeshifter that I'm sure we're going to talk about, the Skrulls. The Skrulls, and I think a lot of other shapeshifters that are similar to them, they have the very simple thing of, you want to check if they're a shapeshifter? Cut your hand, see what color the blood is, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. That's so dumb. I hated that.
Same.
That's not how it should work.
I agree.
You just change the whole...
I agree.
Because then you have a very easy way to tell everyone. Everyone just cuts their hand and shows them when you meet someone. It's so easy. It's nothing. You pinprick. Get a pinprick thing. It's like a blood. It's like how they get those bioscanners blood things. It's as easy as that.
Well, it makes the shapeshifters have to actually have a challenge for once. Otherwise, they just walk in and take over government.
Well, that's the thing with the Conjurer. They can perfectly, because they are at the end of the day just a small blob. They can perfectly embody death in a sense.
The concept, not the character.
No, they could if they took Death's bones.
Damn.
It's my favorite character in A Book Thief.
Yeah,
he's really not. He's really funny.
He's pretty sick. He's pretty sick. And so if you cut them, it will just be blood that comes out the color that they want it to be. One thing that can sometimes go wrong for them, if you cut off their arm and then walk away with their arm, eventually their arm will turn back to mush.
I was going to say, what
that is
do they
definitely...
if the guy, say he was an amputee, he lost an arm, they're just like, I won't put the arm on.
Yeah, okay. Pretty much. Well, they will just reassign the blob mass there to somewhere else, and it just becomes a part of them.
He's actually fat instead.
Yeah, well, they don't necessarily have to. Their blobbiness kind of shrinks and grows as it needs to.
Its density changes?
Yeah.
Do the bones have to be whole? If you lose like an arm bone or something, are you just an amputee now?
Yes, that is a drawback of them.
What if I dust my bones?
What are you fucking talking about?
Turn them to dust.
In this world, if
the
anyone
bones turn to dust.
usually like you burn the dead, stop them from turning back. I would dust my bones. And probably that's what incineration actually does, dust the bones. I mean, at ours, probably in the old days.
You keep using dust as if it's an adjective,
Like
an action
breaking
word?
it down to dust, or like
Yeah.
Making
Yeah.
dust from your bones.
If that's not an adjective, I'm adding it to the
Well,
dictionary.
because
dust means wiping the dust
wipe
off.
dust off it.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah, you could dust them if you want. And
forgot
if
about
you
that.
turn
I
your
make my
bones,
bones real clean, make them real inviting. I want someone else to take my body
That
when I move
would-
on.
I meant turn them to dust.
no, that is definitely if the bones that they are using get crushed. They need the bones intact, basically. So it is definitely a drawback of them.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They need the bones.
But the other side of them, so like in the sense of taking injuries, if you shoot a conjurer through the head with a gun, their head will show the usual signs you'd expect of a bullet going through it, and they will fall down dead, and they will not be their body will start to be dead, and they can just stay that way as long as they need to. So say you need to like fake someone's death, they can do that, although they would already be dead in a sense. But yeah, if you needed to do
You need to
something,
fake someone's death again.
And because they're a blob, they don't have the issue of being shot in the head.
Yeah.
It probably hurts.
there is very few ways to kill a conjurer. One of the only known ways is to, when they're in their blob state, if you drop them in a vat of acid, they can just kind of fall apart.
Okay. So,
But otherwise, so like if they're in their bone form, they are literally immortal. So like you'll get one who, like if there's a gunfight going on, the conjurer will just stand in front of their allies and be like, don't shoot them, shoot me, and be shot to bits, but they don't care. Their body's holes will repair eventually. And yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
did you want to move on to another one?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. I was looking at one thing. I think it's really interesting. I mean, we can slow down if we want. We can cover them pretty quickly. I thought it was really interesting talking about like I know we talked about how they're in so many different medias, but Shapeshifters has been around since people have been telling stories, right? Mm-hmm. So like I think that's really nearly every culture around the world. I was looking it up, like Greco-Roman, Celtic, Norse, Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Philippines, Trinidad, Tobago, and Southern Africa. There's ones I could find. I'm sure there are more.
Mm-hmm.
All I know, like Native American also has it. All have shapeshifters in their lore, or a type of person who can either change into an animal or change into another form, beast form, or something like that. Which is so interesting.
Yeah,
we've been obsessed with this idea of like change and like form into like and being monstrous on the inside and then that revealing on the outside for so long. I don't know, I love that. And that like comes out in stuff like werewolves, vampires, and like druids and witches, skinwalkers.
Skinwalkers was actually one of the ones I was going to talk about.
I didn't have any much notes on them, so we can go into that if you like.
No, you keep going.
I was just gonna say I think it's really interesting how we're like I mean they could be real. We could be real. We never know. It could be real.
I've seen some pretty convincing videos. You know?
But I think it's really interesting that we've like either been scared of animals we see, something unnatural that we see at night, and we turn that into a fear, but also like that internal thought of like that person over there, he's a person, but they are horrible inside. They must be a monster. They are a horrible person. They must have that monstrous form in them, and
they got that dog in them.
They got their dog in them.
So sorry.
That's honestly, they were one of the arms I was going to talk a little bit about skinwalkers.
Let's delve into it.
Less of a, I'm going to sit here and spiel about them, more just kind of a branch I wanted to touch on the real world fascination that people have of skinwalkers, because they are typically speaking, the example of skinwalkers does come from Native American backgrounds and roots. I do believe. It'd be really awkward if I'm wrong about that.
I mean, there are skinwalker types in a lot of different cultures, but there's definitely exist
the classic skinwalker. The typical skinwalker is the Native American background, I think.
I believe so. I believe it comes from tales of being cannibals, and if you become a cannibal, you become a skinwalker. Is that
Yeah, you could like eat you eat the heart and you can turn into them. I believe was the
because it's like come from people who were desperate in times of need who couldn't find food, and it's like seen as it says a tale: do not eat your people, do not eat your friends, because you'll turn into a skinwalker.
Yeah, that was exactly.
Generally a good rule for life. I mean, like all fairy tales have like good bones behind them. Like, you know, the boy who cried wolf, you know, don't lie, etc. I think like don't cannibalize your friends.
It's a good one.
It's got a deep message to it.
Yeah.
Boy cries wolf. Stop running away from the town. They can't see. If you're gonna tell a lie, tell us their face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe I took the wrong message from that one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I think he's lost.
I think he's lost it.
Wolf.
No, it definitely with it was skinwalkers though. Skinwalkers though. They are interesting because they just definitely represent that weird, almost fascination that we have with shapeshifting. And that's the thing. Like, is it just people being like similar to historical records that you look at with writings about Vikings invasions and stuff, when we see something just so unbelievably confrontingly evil about another person that we sort of dress it up in this fantastical supernatural sense, like you said, that person became an animal in this moment.
Well,
is that the foundations of people thinking about shapeshifters?
Look
you know,
at Dracula.
Yeah.
Vlad the Impaler, someone who was just such a horrible person, killed so many people. That guy must be a literal demon.
Yeah,
to have like been that good on the battlefield. How could he have won that many battles, or how could he have killed that many people? Though that roughly, he is literally a bloodsucker of the night.
Exactly. And all of a sudden you've got, he turns into a bat, and
how did they know? Not that someone betrayed you. No, he was a bat sitting on that tree, and that's how he got that information from us. And that's how he knew. That's how he surprised us. Some shit like that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I know it's very interesting.
I will say it's interesting that it's translated from that into more modern day. I think a lot of it plays into paranoia, like lizard folk and stuff like. I typed in cool shapeshifters on YouTube to try and find like a top 10 video to get ideas about what to write about, and every fucking video that showed up was like, look, JFK shifting eye thing, like lizard, like
lizard people. Yeah,
it sounds like a joke, but like it's very interesting how you type in shapeshifter and there's that many results, which are all just MP4 compression.
100%. 100%.
Why do you think the CIA killed him? God,
it's so like as an explanation, if anyone hasn't
shooter on the hill.
Anyone hasn't looked
Grassy
at
knoll.
this, fuck you guys.
The magic bullet.
The magic bullet theory.
If you guys haven't seen this, one of the interesting things is that it's cited as like lizard people being in different skits, but the actual reality of a lot of the videos that you'll see is it's video compression. Videos will often only have data around the pixels that are changing, and if that data goes missing, it looks like things slide around kind of unnaturally. This is just for people who don't know what the actual origins of this thing is. That's generally the explanation. There's also weird lighting tricks, other things like that, but it's not lizard folk. But the fact that it is such a common assumption of just like, his eye looks weird in the video, and I don't like his opinions, therefore he's a lizard.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like, it's
most politicians are reptiles, just not literally.
Well, that was kind of the thing that I think I was going to talk about a little bit more at the end of the episode. Well, not the end of the episode, but the second segment, I guess. Talking about like the interest in media around shapeshifting and just the paranoia side of it being the really interesting part of it when you're watching something with a shapeshifter in it, when you're reading something with a shapeshifter in it, really leaning into that paranoia and how terrifying it is of, do I know who that person is? Is that person who they say they are? Are they a perfect representation of the other person? Are all the very, very fascinating aspects of it. And it's kind of fits into the same roots in real life, I would say, because it's like lizard people, us being paranoid about lizard people, or people in general being paranoid about lizard people. Is that just the modern day equivalent of people being frightened of Vlad the Impaler and therefore he must be a monster?
But also like it's the same thing as like you're in the forest at night and you saw that traveler go behind the tree and then you saw a wolf step out. And he might just be behind sight. You blinked for a second, or like something, the moonlight glimmered wrong, or our brains are so dumb.
Yeah.
You're gonna get the wrong 9% of the time. We will see things in the night.
But Our brains are also very well wired to be like, I hate this. This is dangerous.
Yep, exactly. Also, we're trained to see faces and things that don't see, and to feel that unnatural. That'll keep us alive.
It's pattern recognition. Our brains are very good at recognizing patterns that they've seen before, like seeing faces, like seeing scary thing. If we're much more likely to look at a tree and see a face because our brain connects it to a face because it's a familiar shape.
And we're so much more likely to like just go like, nope, I'm gonna take it on my brain. Like, nope, I'm scared. It's like people's like, nope, bad vibes. I'm not going in this room.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just like survival instinct, right?
Yeah,
and it's kept us alive.
It's great.
Yeah.
I did look up some archetypes for shapeshifters. I think you were just talking just what you're talking about. One of them was like unpredictability, deceptiveness, identity fluid, and I think also identity like problems with when shapeshifters become main characters and like protagonists. They have a lot of them have identity problems. Either they slip between good and evil, or they don't know who they are. They don't know what they want to do. And I think that's really interesting. Moral ambiguity, a dual nature, and adaptability. They're always the survivor.
Yeah, 100%.
Look at like Mystique from X-Men, and if we look at more X-Men, look at Darwin. Darwin kind of doesn't have control over us, but it's all about.
Is that the guy from the movie?
The dude that dies really... Yeah, he was really shit, wasn't he? Yeah, what a bad X-Men.
That's legit. Okay, I know you look sad, Matt, but that is legitimately the only time I've seen Darwin.
We talked about Darwin in our marvelous X-Men episode.
You mean episode 4?
I think it was either 4 or 5, yeah.
It was, It's been about 3 years.
I'll be honest, I thought you were just trying to rile Matt up because he gets really riled up about that movie, so I was definitely trying to play it along.
It's also one of the only X-Men movies I've seen.
They turned the most invincible, unkillable X-Men. They cast a black person, and then they killed him. I'm sorry, but you couldn't have hit more tropes of the black guy must die, and by casting for the unkillable X-Men, and it's a classic trope of like you kill someone powerful to show that the enemy's dangerous. But Darwin is the one person that doesn't work. It happens like the comic tries to do that a lot, but they always go like, no, Darwin exists because this whole thing, the goddess of death touched him, and he's like, no, his mutant ability turned him into the god of death and said, no, I'm better than you.
No,
like, you can't die because like in the Hela from Thor 3. Okay, well, Hela
you've seen Thor,
but
right?
in the comics, if she touches you, you die. It's a different. She has different powers, but he just doesn't. She's a god. He doesn't. It's so good. It's so funny. When he's fighting the Thor once, his power's like, I can't beat this. So the best thing to do when you fight the Hulk when he's really powerful, he teleports him to the other side of the earth.
Yeah.
Dub.
I don't
know. Anyway, not talking about Darwin, but like I don't know. Like they're very interesting.
The adaptability is the big thing. Because I was like saying, there's like go back to the Conjure example. They did a lot of those categories, and we get a lot of exploration of like the identity crisis side of things, and even just down to like the way relationships work. But the adaptability and survivability is generally the most carried across thing, I would say.
How do you trust I don't know. It's so.
I think a character that addresses both of these things really well, and the previous topic we talked about, I've got notes here on a recent animated film called Nimona. What?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to like hit us with a meme example.
No, I'm being genuine here. Okay. Nimona. So it's a recent animated film. It started off as a Tumblr concept. There's actually a really cute post from the creator saying like, these are my 2 characters. I'm playing around with them. And it's like the 2 main characters of now a Netflix film. And it's like, hey, that's kind of cute. Right. Yeah. Nimona is a shapeshifter, but has also been alive for a very long period of time. In the movie, she gets attracted to the main character, quote unquote. They're both main characters. Because he is on the run because he supposedly killed the queen of this world. Spoilers for Nimona. Sorry.
That happens a lot, though. Like, sorry, that I don't want to cut you off. Like that shapeshifters, as I said before, survivors. They usually live a long time. Mystique's 100 years old in the comics. What is it like? Vampires? They're usually older. Like, and I had another example. Doppelgangers from Witcher, I believe, live for a couple hundred years. So they've seen empires rise and fall, but they're always survivors. Sorry to cut you off.
No, totally fine. But Nimona's super old, and the original time that she got her powers, I haven't seen the comics. I'm sure there's a more solid explanation out there. I think that it's because in the comics, because she got given it to defend her village and she's shapeshifted into being a dragon. But what happens in the movies is she gets her powers and then goes for an unknown amount of time as a nature spirit, essentially, and eventually comes back towards the normal sort of society, meets a young girl, and is having, fun with her, playing with her. The girls are scared initially, but then they go back and forth and they start chatting. Then they go back to the village and someone sees her shapeshift because she's a bear or something like that at that point. And they go, get out of here. And Nimona essentially is like shoved out of the village and rejected and turns into a massive beast essentially as like a defense mechanism. From that, she then basically goes, hey, society's rejected me. I want to fucking kill everyone. So unironically, her character is extremely violent.
Yeah.
But also, a lot of the themes explored in the movie is, like, not knowing herself, being uncertain of things. Like, she still protects people kind of instinctually, but there's, like, a societal hate. And so I think that really interestingly ties into the Skinwalker example, just the natural fear of something that can't keep the same shape, versus, like, not knowing herself. At one point, a character goes, like, can you be normal? Can you just, like, be your normal human girl form? And she's like, that's not my fucking normal form.
Yeah.
Anything's my form. I don't have a form. Fuck off.
Yeah.
She's an interesting character. If you want a good example of that sort of moral complexity type thing, Nimona's absolutely a great example.
Yeah.
A lot of it, they do have that rejection from society is so common, especially because, like, as we talked about, there's that fear naturally inbuilt into humans. It's like so, like a lot of shapeshifters are trying to find where they belong in society, and like Mystique and the Scrolls and a lot of comics, and like because people don't think they can trust them, and then that builds that distrust, and they don't feel like they belong, and they have to work out who they are.
I mean, it's an eternal surprise thing, especially if a shapeshifter uses it a lot and is like naturally shifting a lot. Like, it's kind of weird to like be talking to someone, turn around, and all of a sudden they're a different person. It's like, it is weird. Like, there's naturally a sort of not a cringe, but like a
humans
jump.
don't like change.
No.
I think that's humans are very adaptable a lot of the time, but we hate change. Look at like technology changes and like things happening around the world. Like people always like the good old days were the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Can't wait to get back to a better time.
Yeah, that was a great. Very kind of similar vibe to that. Nimona.
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 Nice.
I might write that down.
Yeah.
It's a good Netflix show.
Okay, nice.
It's a kids show, but like it's still good.
Yeah, that's fine. It's on the like note of I love the like identity conflict side of things as well, because there's like going back to my main example that I'm bringing in with the Conjurer. There's this one of the Conjurer characters that we have in like the second era is having a ongoing romantic relationship with one of the main characters. And it kind of just starts off as a fling, and then the human gets into it more and more, and they kind of become more involved. And then the human, his like work partner / other protagonist, main character, when they're going on an undercover mission, and the Conjurer goes from like one of their most commonly seen forms of tall, beautiful, blonde-haired woman to chisel-jawed Chad man, because they need a big handy helper fighter for this next one. And then the other protagonist comes up and goes, bet that makes the relationship a little bit complicated, doesn't it? And then the other dude's like, oh, I don't know, does it? It's still them. And then they just kind of continue on. It's like, I don't know, it's an interesting side of it, just exploring the way that
it's interesting.
Yeah, because it's
interesting because reflecting on society right now, I don't know how much we want to do for societal.
I mean, I'm already astounded at how far off. I thought we were just going to do goofy character talky, but no, this is diving into.
We're at a desk. I feel like it's hard to be goofy. But like current like political stuff, like people not accepting gender fluid people, trans people, stuff like that. Two reasons. Obviously, it's not like they believe they grew up, but also like people changing and people shifting. They don't know how to identify themselves. Like when gender becomes a spectrum, like it is. Where do I belong now? I knew where I belong. I knew where I belonged. I knew I used to belong. But where do I belong now? Why do I have to question that now? Which I think is really interesting. I think shapeshifters bring that into it really.
Yeah, definitely. Like, hey, if you're that and that, then that makes me feel uncomfortable at where I am. Grr. Yeah. Funny how things tie into
talking about trans people. Harry Potter.
Fuck you.
Yeah, all right. What's Harry Potter
go
example?
on,
Yeah,
what?
all right. Yeah, all right. We were going for something good there.
All right.
There's 3 shifters I could think of other than just wizards being wizards. I don't think there's transfiguration and polymorph.
Sorry, go again.
Transfiguration.
Yes.
Got that right?
Got that
I
right.
can't pronounce words.
It's fine.
I did. I really cringed when you said doppelganger instead of doppelganger.
I haven't. No, but I have a suspicion that's a reading thing.
My brain goes too fast, and my mouth can't pronounce the words.
Doppelganger.
There's
Telepathy.
there's animagus, which the people who can train themselves to be able to transform into an animal.
Yeah.
They don't get to choose the animal, but once you have done it, you can always transform into that same animal.
Yeah.
It's just part of it's part of your personality what that animal becomes.
Oh, interesting. So it really is your spirit animal.
Yeah, they have two. Harry Potter has 2 spirit animals. Sometimes they're the same, not always.
Yeah.
Because your Patronus can change, but I do not believe there is an example of Animagus changing.
Wow. So he was
a rat.
Wormtail really was
They
just a
really
rat.
should have seen the signs.
They
I'm
really
sorry.
should have seen.
When you see your friend turn
when
to
they
a
were all
rat.
getting their cool spirit animals, a little Peter Pettigrew that you don't know is a bit weird turns into a rat.
Got a little feral fucking rat.
Thankfully,
Feral rat.
they literally say thankfully 2 of them were big enough to hold down, to fight off a werewolf.
Yeah, that's a
Together.
good point.
God damn it.
I really want to see the version where a stag and a not that big black wolf are holding back Remus, because
I mean, they can just hold him for a little bit to stop him from doing stuff too bad. I guess.
yeah, I guess.
Stags are big, man.
They are, but
Stags are big.
did you see that fucking skinny ass werewolf?
But he was a
thing?
teenager at the time, so he probably would have been smaller.
Oh, true. Oh my god, Scrappy the werewolf.
Scrappy the werewolf. But it's also Nagini, who originally was just a snake.
Oh, for fuck's sake,
And
I
then
hate that.
They retconned it in the
what?
Fantastic Beasts movies to
Nagini's a chick now.
make her a woman with a curse that she can transform a snake, but eventually she will be stuck as a snake and she won't be able to transform back.
That sucks.
It really changes. It really just changes Neville killing Nagini.
Neville fucking murdered a woman.
Yeah, but also did Nagini turn evil, or when she became a snake, did she? Because she listened to Voldemort.
She
ate
definitely. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe she became more snake-like over the years.
I have to imagine she fucking eats someone.
Yeah.
Once you become a snake for good, you just accept it. I think you're just I'm evil now.
There is that's another
Why are
interesting
snakes
thing.
evil, Matt?
Satan, the Bible. You read it.
I can't. I actually can't
You
fight that.
can't fight that. That's
No, I do love snakes, but even
I thought you were about to say I love
in
Satan.
Harry Potter,
Actually.
in Harry Potter. I do too. Lucifer did nothing wrong. No, but snakes in Harry Potter are seen as an more evil wizard animal, but also she was following Nagini, that's why she's evil.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Nagini, she's following Voldemort, that's why Nagini is evil.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's definitely because they tried to give Nagini a sympathetic backstory in Fantastic Beasts movie. The other thing, there's no issue with Nagini being a shapeshifter. It's the fact that we're trying the movie that you watch. Okay, I don't like it, but also sure, whatever, cool, fine. That's why it's a special snake. Whatever, go off, Queen. But you've got, but you've got the you've got the. It's distracting being in the same room as you guys.
Amazing.
I know. For those, anyway, the attempt to give some sympathetic background to Nagini, being she was just some poor young girl who was cursed by this traveling mage and is now going to be stuck as a snake forever. It's that goes right out the window when you remember, that scene of Voldemort walking through the ministry of Nagini, just casually going into some poor dude that was already down.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, killing them, eating the Muggle teacher.
That's the one I wrote.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what. That's quite. It's definitely yo, wait. So
Anyways, that's Nagini. Again, as we said, sometimes shapeshifters are
limited.
Oh, limited, but also morally questionable, and they change.
Yeah, they are. They are
Other
100%.
thing, though, that I think is interesting there that is possible is that the some examples of shapeshifters, one that I have here as an example, often I think it's interesting when the shapeshifting involves like not having perfect personality transference. Like a lot of the time, shapeshifters it's like it's a dog and it just looks up and is like, "Hey, how you going?"
Yeah.
It's like a normal human.
Yeah.
But I like examples where they aren't like that. So, for example, as a touchstone for us, polymorph in D&D is a spell, but you lose your intelligence and a couple of other bits and pieces.
Yeah.
You continue having your personality and alignment.
Yeah.
And you can tell who's friend and foe, but there's a loss of actual personality. An example I have is from the TV show Dirk Gently, is a character called Mona Wilder. So Mona's a holistic actor, which in the show, there's a reference to the flow and will of the universe. The main character is a holistic detective, which basically just means that the universe sends him after problems with the universe, which, spoilers, in universe include time travel and alternative like pocket dimensions being formed.
I love that show, but damn, it's just like fate is his bitch.
Fate is his power, yeah.
Yeah.
Mona's a holistic actor, so she can shapeshift into the role of whatever she needs to be. It seems to be an at-will thing, but a lot of the powers in the universe are dictated by what the universe wants. So, yeah. But one of the things that's interesting is when she transforms into things, she can transform into inanimate objects. She loses a lot of herself when she does that. It was noted on the show that when Blackwing, the government agency who picked her up, she had been a chair for 6 years.
That's right. I remember this character. Yeah.
So she can change into a tank. She can change into all that sort of stuff. It still maintains functionality. Like as a tank or a car, she can drive, and as like objects, she can kind of like bounce herself around. But she isn't herself. There's interesting stuff to there.
No, definitely.
Losing yourself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the shapeshifters do lose themselves in a role or they're trying to play and stuff like that. So like, I think
100%. Yeah.
it's that can when you're being a spy, can cause yourself to lose yourself in the music the moment. I'll stop saying.
Wow, we're editing that out. Fuck me. One chance.
I know what song you were referencing now. Sorry, you hit the beat so weirdly that I didn't know what you were referencing.
I was considering rapping it, and I was like, no, that's not rapping it.
I just saw the passion in your eyes just immediately crumble when you just stutter. As Guy and I are looking at you.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting that though what is it? Transformers that can change into objects. We haven't really talked about that. Like becoming an object and not becoming pretending to be not another sentient being. You know what I mean? Mimics in D&D.
Hey, that's where I was going.
Mimics in D&D, yeah. So like they can change into anything. They can be a door. They can be a chest. They can be anything. But they're indistinguishable, but they still gooey. If you touch it, they're still like sticky and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, no, I really like them. There's actually a thing. The thing that I was referencing, the one with the illusion powers, there's actually in the Spelljammer version of D&D, 2nd edition, there are space mimics.
I hate that.
Float around between planets and are ink black with little sparkling dots on them.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll usually... I have my notes here.
I hate that so much.
Oh, God, I have it copy-pasted. A space mimic will use its magic to become invisible and hypnotize a wizard because they like eating magic items. It will then lure them somewhere alone, then steal books, scrolls, and magic items before eating the victim.
Space is big. They would not find a lot of food.
No.
I think that's part of the idea is that they disguise themselves as shipwrecks. So there'll be like a wizard who comes to investigate. It's the same. And the other thing is that the original edition D&D mimics were supposedly created by wizards to keep treasure hunters off their shit, which that's fucking hilarious to me.
I do like that.
It's like it is the same as Gary Gygax himself making it. It's the version of these motherfuckers are loot goblins and I'm gonna fucking get them.
Yeah.
Also, I like how they got out of control because mimics create a new mimic by I remember I looked up this once when we were doing the D&D monsters. By once they've absorbed enough, they eventually just split in two. And one of them goes their own way.
Yeah, I love it.
I do still love the massive mimics though that pretend to be like buildings and shit.
They're like, I will not split. I am big.
I am too big. Yeah,
I am Chad.
Version 1 D&D, again, I did a bit of research on these guys. Version 1 D&D had 2 types of mimics. The smaller ones could actually be bargained with. You could like bribe them with food and shit and they would be like neutral. Whereas the bigger ones just fucking hate you.
That's funny as. Yeah, so mimics. They're cool.
Yeah. You know what's cooler?
What?
ice cold. Sorry. Anyway,
I hate you.
You didn't actually have a tangent?
No.
Okay, I'm going back to mimics then. Fuck you. Mimics actually, funnily enough, in the original versions, could only be stone or wood.
Yeah.
They had
Really?
naturally grey skin, which they could. I'm assuming they mean kind of octopus-like, pump out brown pigment into their capillaries, whatever the fucking outermost veins are, which would then colour them brown.
Oh,
And that was the excuse given. They're also just very malleable.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I do love when they try and make it like sciencey. I don't know. I love it. I love it when even in a world that's fully magic, they're like, no, we're gonna fucking make some shit up that makes no fucking sense, but I'm gonna make it sound like it does.
The other example of that I really enjoy is that they're cited specifically as having a pseudopod.
Yeah, they have little arms that come out. Boom.
Correct. Do you know where pseudopods are actually seen in nature?
What?
White blood cells.
Yeah.
That's cute.
It's not the term that you use for a creature of that size. You'd call that an arm or a limb.
But it's a perfect name for it because it's like it's an appendage that has it's formable. It has no. It's like a tentacle.
Yeah, but you've got to remember also pseudopod comes from the Latin word for false foot, which essentially is because they use it to like scoot around. Pseudopods on.
Did you just say you have to remember? Like anyone would fucking know
I
that.
fucking remember that. Eat nuts.
You have to remember that in Latin, pseudopod. Actually, pseudo.
Put me on that Put me on that show. College Humor. I want to be on. Actually, I'd be so bad at it.
You have to catch up on your Latin, the dead language.
No, but like pseudopods are used as like a foot to like scoot themselves around. It's a form of movement. Mimics use that shit to beat the fuck out of people. They'll beat the shit out of you with a pseudopood.
Yeah.
That's misuse of property.
You know what's kind of like a mimic that uses like pseudopods?
Yeah.
Ditto.
Fuck you.
Ditto's a great shapeshifter.
They literally do describe it as pseudopods.
Did you know that ditto actually, like, as a word means like same, like mimicking? Yeah.
Well, if you remember your Latin,
I mean, like ditto is called. You know when you do like the 2// underneath to thing that copy the line above.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called ditto.
we know.
Ditto.
We know.
Well, you got to remember that.
Once again, the layers of Guy's sarcasm have no bounds.
Oh god. Anyway, yeah. So Ditto's fun. I love Pokemon.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about
I
Ditto.
didn't know that.
Ditto can perfectly replicate anything he sees, but intelligence. He is an animal, so he can turn into a human, but he can't speak.
Yeah.
He can turn into a human, but he cannot consent.
He cannot consent. Do not. Ditto is also commonly used in the games to put a Ditto in the daycare to make
everything.
To make eggs out of Pokemon you only have one of. So Pokemon have egg groups, so you can breed different Pokemon together. But the Ditto is the one Pokemon that can breed with any Pokemon, and so it's the easiest to use.
What zone are Dittos in? I never knew that.
Thank you so much.
What?
So Dittos aren't a natural Pokemon in the
Really?
world of in the lore. So Dittos are in the original games. Dittos are only found in one location, and there's it's the one part of the Pokemon world in the original games that have a deep lore. Mm-hmm. Dittos are only found in the Pokemon Mansion, which is found on Cinnabar Island, which is where on a remote island where you find a rubble in a big mansion, and you find books and novels that have scientist notes. You only get a couple pages, but they allude to Mew and failed experiments to create Mewtwo. So
I see. Yeah.
So with the little bit of DNA of Mew they they use, and the failed experiments created Ditto. So the only way you can. You can't even find them in the mansion. The only way you find them is in the lab below, in the basement of the mansion. Is the only place you can find Ditto in the entire.
There you go.
He's the slop beast in the bottom.
He is the slop beast in the bottom.
Oh my god, he's a Kandra. Fuck. But he doesn't need bones. He just looks at you.
He just looks at you. Yeah. So because Mew can transform. Mew and Ditto are the only two Pokemon that can learn the move transform.
Very interesting.
There you go.
I think it's also interesting. Okay, hear me out. Beasts and creatures that have the ability to shapeshift, e.g., Ditto, Kadra, and mimics.
Yeah.
A lot of the times when they're described in their quote unquote natural state, it's a blob.
Yeah.
Which I think is an interesting way to
is.
take, especially because with shapeshifting, again, as we discussed, having so many negative connotations amongst humans with, deception and that sort of stuff, I think that the instinct to make the natural form of a creature version that has shapeshifting powers a neutral blob that kind of is just like...
Yeah, it is. It says a lot.
It is. It's no form,
Yeah.
But also, I think that's interesting because you're like, when you talked about before that story, what's the name again? Nimona. When someone asked her, can you be normal? Can you be your true form? I don't have a true form.
Don't have true form.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting. I
She
think
should turn into blob. That'd be funnier.
But like, there's another example, and it's a similar kind of thing. Is a boggart from Harry Potter.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah.
So this is a kind of an interesting part of shapeshifting that I don't even talk about. There aren't many examples of this, but there are some of mind reading to shapeshift. So being able to read someone's mind and use that to help your shapeshifting.
Oh, right.
I think is really interesting. And the boggart, so it reads, for those who don't know, it reads your deepest, darkest fear.
Yeah.
And when you see it, it transforms into that. No one knows the true form of a boggart.
Yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
So
I'm not scared of anything. I'd find the true form.
everyone's afraid of something, guy.
No.
There's
There's no punchline to this joke.
I'm trying to think of something, but damn, he's too good. He's too good. But yeah, so they usually
I don't want to roast my friends on the podcast.
they transform into things that that the deepest fear. But like, there's only one character that, and it's unknown if they have a sixth sense for this or they can just do it because they can only transform to one thing at a time, right? It's only the person they're working on. They don't it's not two people see it and they see something different.
Yeah.
But Mad Eye Moody, in one of the books, so Mrs. Weasley thinks there's a boggart in the closet when they're clearing out Sirius's old house, or Sirius's house at the time. And she goes, "Can you check Moody? Because he has an eye that can see through walls." And he looks up and says, "Yep, it's a boggart." But it's never described what he sees. So does he know the true form of a boggart?
Nah, there's a clown in the closet.
Interesting.
Or does he see shit that he doesn't like?
No, because that then implies that a boggart can see through walls as well, or at least know when it's being seen.
But I think it has to know when it's being seen because no one's ever taken it by surprise, one.
Yeah.
But two, when it's revealed, when it comes out of a door, it doesn't look at you and then transform. It comes out of that door transformed. So I think it must know. Somehow it must know you're there.
Yeah.
Also, when they get close to the boggart closet, it starts shaking and rumbling.
Yeah. This is true.
So it's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a really weird one when that just kind of happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mad Eye keeps the secrets. He brings those secrets to his fucking grave.
He really does. Wait, Mad Eye dies? No.
Oh, spoilers! No!
God damn it.
Oh no.
Yeah, so shapeshifters.
How many times are we gonna say that in this episode?
I think we can potentially move into that second segment potentially.
Can I mention a couple more before we start the second segment?
Sure.
I just want to touch. I'll briefly touch on one, and I kind of want a little more detail on the other. One, Digimon, Digimon, Digivolve, and they use a device for it, and they're like, and they go back and forth. I think it's really interesting to have like a limited couple forms,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
have like a partnership to do it, and they go back and forth. It's kind of like Mega Evolution in Pokemon, if you know what that is. I think that's cool to have like a partnership. They can't do it themselves, but they need the help of a friendship to do it. I think that's really interesting. Anyway, the more interesting one is Transformers, which I
wanted to cut before you fucking started.
Kill you.
Okay.
How is Transformers is clearly a shapeshifter, and we had a discussion
No,
earlier.
they're Transformers.
They are shapeshifters because depending on which Transformers canon you Transformers could either be machines or energy beings who their machines as armor. But they can also switch out their different parts and stuff like that. But also they literally transform, and you can't tell. It's indistinguishable.
You tried to convince me before when I talked to you about this that there was more forms to a Transformer than car or dude as a car.
There are. They could okay. So depending on the canon, again, because there's so many different Transformer timelines.
There's timelines?
Yes. 'Cause they're multiple. There's the movies. There's the TV show. There's the books and comics.
Transformers Endgame.
There's But a lot of one of the common things in most is what they'll do is they'll scan an object and feel like, I can transform that. That's how they can go to Earth and go, so they'll scan something and go, oh, I can do that. So that sometimes they don't. They can reduce or enlarge their size sometimes.
Yeah.
They can also, one time, Megatron just turns into a gun.
Just a big gun?
Yeah.
Nice.
But they have to scan it and try and work it out. So they scan it and go like, oh, that's complicated, but I got that.
Yeah.
And they transform into it. So like they do it. I think Transformers is a big thing in media, but it's fun. They go back and forth between a big car and a thing. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I like it.
I'll take...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go.
I was gonna say, I think I hate it and I despise it, and fuck you for saying Transformers or Shapeshifter. But from a narrative point of view, they do embody all of the aspects of it. Because even if you watch the Transformers movie, they've got the paranoia there. They've got the paranoia of Sam Witwicky, Shia LaBeouf's greatest role, running around going, "Oh my god, it's the police! It's a police car! He's gonna save me!" And then it turns into a giant robot. You've got.
There's also a Transformer that turns into a girl he tries to make out with.
Yeah, this is true. He nearly fucks a Transformer.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
You're telling me there's Robussy in these fucking
There
movies?
sure is Robussy.
Oh no.
So sad. How have I not seen these fucking things? I've seen one of them, actually.
You need to watch the second and third, man.
You don't do it. Don't do it to
Yeah,
yourself.
you're right. Just watch the second. That has the Robussy.
also like Bumblebee. I think one of them loses the ability to transform or something like that. I can't remember, but like that's like an identity thing.
Yeah,
When
100%.
transforming is your identity.
Yeah.
You know?
And the same aspect of adaptability and survivability. End of the first movie,
Legit.
man. Barricade, everyone's favorite Transformer, is shown Starscream rather is shown getting out because he just turns back into a plane, and he's just waiting in the military airfield. And it's like, what are you gonna do?
Who are you going to do?
He's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, exactly.
He's hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
All right, now fuck you for Transformer.
Did you have any more you want to touch on?
Animorphs, baby.
Fuck you.
No, I'm good. I don't know anything about Animorphs, but I saw it on a list and I'm like, that's fun.
Yeah, I think my partner wanted me to do Animorphs, but I didn't get around to it. I'm sorry.
The only thing I do want to mention about Animorphs
is
I love the book covers that they're halfway between. They're like have those things that they're halfway between.
Like the Rat Girl and shit like that is so good.
So funny.
The other thing from Animorphs is don't stay in the hawk too long, Tobias. Such a good line.
They get stuck. They get stuck after 2 hours. It's not exactly 2. I did a bit of. They're not exactly 2 hours, but if you turn too long, you'd stuck. That's really interesting as well.
That's a great one.
Okay, what the fuck is an Animorph?
An Animorph is a teenage boy or girl who can turn into animal. I haven't read any of the books.
So there's an alien war going on, and one of the aliens crash lands on Earth and sees teenagers, and he goes like, "Okay, guys, you guys have now the powers to change into these animals. Don't do it for too long though, or you'll be an animal for life. And then, can you fight this alien invasion for me?" Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
cool. So, any other examples from you guys?
Yeah, the ones I wanted to quickly touch on. So, I've gone across most of them. Mystique, we kind of touched on.
Yeah.
Although I would like to touch on the fact that Mystique, I think there's weirdness around like her biological versus inorganic abilities. Because I know later versions she gets like radiation and therefore can turn into like claws and other shit, like have like claws and stuff. But earlier versions of her still have the ability to do some weird shit. One that I found was that she like just manifests a suit on her that she then uses to absorb and rechannel lightning. I didn't know she could do that. I thought she could just change body shape.
Yeah.
I didn't know she could do that either. But
Uncanny X-Men edition 177, page 7.
There you go. I think
Thank God for wikis.
I think one power that like sometimes happens is like, do they have clothes?
Yeah.
We haven't talked about that.
No.
Can they transform with their clothes and back? And I've read sometimes it's just like if they're skillful enough, yes.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Mystique specifically has the ability to do all that because she's very much like the spy archetype.
Oh, she's the perfect spy.
But yeah, it's very interesting with that. I just wanted to touch on that. The other one, Ben 10 Omnitrix, we already kind of touched on it. I think it's very interesting. This particularly touches on to one thing that I think is extremely interesting, which is the mechanics of the thing. Is that what the final edition part's going to be about?
Yeah, I think honestly we've kind of touched it all throughout, but just talking about like what the interesting side from like a media perspective with them is. But
No, I'm going to touch on some of the mechanics here. So magic's interesting. Obviously, magic doesn't need an explanation. It's magic.
Yeah.
I think the one that always catches me is DNA manipulation.
Yeah.
DNA manipulation to me seems really weird because if DNA gets changed in human body, it takes a while to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, to become, if your DNA gets corrupted by radiation or whatever the fuck, like, cancer takes a while to come. It's not just like DNA radiated, cancer.
Yeah, I've seen Ben 10. It happens pretty fast.
That's the thing. Ben 10, supposedly the Omnitrix works by injecting DNA into you. Like, there has to be some sort of hyper-regeneration thing going on there.
Have you never heard the literal thing that says he turned into the alien before his very eyes? It's very quick. I have that, like, in my brain. It's stuck in there.
Fuck you.
It's in my brain. I can't get it out.
Okay.
I had the game on PS2. It's really good.
Oh my god, we used to play that game after soccer when we were like 8 years old.
Yeah, I can never work out how to save, or my like little 8 megabyte hard drive was too full. So I played the start of that game probably over 50 times.
And we would always, after a soccer training, we'd like see how far through the game we could get before my dad arrived to pick me up. Yeah.
And then we started again.
This is living by the
time.
lore about the fact that we've known each other since we were like 6, if not born.
I had two, because I had the later when he's a teenager, and because you could turn like Spider Monkey and stuff like that. Oh my God, the original was better. The original was better.
Anyway, back to Ben 10 DNA shit. So some things are interesting because, like, for example, Nimona, she actually replaces all the cells in her body and the old one's destroyed, which there's implications there about, like, teleporter stuff of, like, are you if the body is entirely new?
100%, yeah.
Your cells change over time similarly.
Yeah, correct. It's
So, like-
Ship of Theseus type shit. But, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. There's not too much to dive into there unless you don't know about the Ship of Theseus, in which case, read up on media literacy. That's your problem.
Go, what's WandaVision? Oh.
I mean, but like biologic. If it's not magic, then okay. Yeah, honestly, yeah. If you change biologically, you'll lose your brain. Your brain, unless you keep the human brain in that animal body, unless it's magic.
So Ben 10 actually has an interesting thing about that. The aliens he turns into aren't fully the alien race. They're actually technically a hybrid.
There you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
true. Yeah, actually, I remember that.
Because if you stand him next to other versions of that race, he looks pretty similar, but there's some slightly weird
Yeah,
shit.
very slight changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's-
I forgot about that.
There's an excuse.
There you go.
But there's other things that are interesting. So Nimona, for example, she also has super regeneration because of that. And I think that's a fun thing with DNA, like, explanation. It's like, yeah, they do have to regenerate all their shit every time the DNA changes. So yeah, they also have super healing.
Probably have super healing powers.
The other one, though, that's interesting, though, is when there's not a magical nor technological way that it stores the DNA. Like, they're just... I'm thinking, like, Mystique. Like, it's not a magic or a technology, it's a mutation. How does she keep her original DNA? How does she store other DNAs? Because the alternative to that is that she understands DNA manipulation, which that's fucked up.
I think she instinctively, just like how you instinctually.
Instinctually.
Fuck me. Instinctually.
I'm
Just like you can instinctually learn things like object permanence. I think if that's part of your mutation, I think you can instinctually use your power. And I think she just visualizes what it is. And after hundreds of years of doing it, she's so good at it.
That's fair. I think there is still an interesting thing around that because to me, that reads like being like, oh, she could just instinctually do chemistry. It's like, that doesn't make sense.
I mean, if chemistry was part of your body, yeah.
I think it's kind of in the same way. More what Matt's getting at is, I look at this jug of water in front of me for the Patreon people watching this lovely video. I look at the thing of water and I just reach for it, you know? It isn't me. Realistically, at a neuron level, my brain is sending a signal to this part of my arm to start moving, to this part of my arm to start moving, individual joints and thousands of neural connections.
Doesn't mean you have to understand biology.
That doesn't mean I have to understand it.
Exactly.
So I think it's that same sort of thing same with the Conjurer, how they reach into the bones and they just instinctively construct this thing.
I hate any sentence that has the word bone in it.
I hate anything that has a Conjure. I'm terrified of Conjure now.
Oh, yeah, same. Don't worry. But it's the same thing with Mystique, I think, where as long as she can picture what she's trying to turn into, her body kind of does the rest. Because at least, maybe the movies aren't the best source of lore for the X-Men, but fuck you. I think X-Men First Class is a class film.
It's a good movie. It's not good lore.
Okay.
Darwin dies in it.
He really doesn't like Darwin.
He really doesn't like Darwin.
I don't like Darwin dying.
So, like, you see child version of Mystique before she's played by Katniss Everdeen. And...
What are you shaking your head about?
So just Matt looks puzzled.
It's a good joke.
I'm not sorry.
Raven, they call her Raven, don't they?
Raven, yeah.
Yeah, Raven. She, even as a child, just kind of instinctively turns into another person. So it's not about like her being necessarily skilled with it so much as just maybe when she gets really skilled with it, that's when she can do the shit like I turn into a suit to absorb the lightning. And...
Yes. Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair enough. I accept that. No, but yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about.
100%.
DNA specific stuff makes me go a little bit wild because the mechanics of it are always a little bit
100%,
weird.
100%.
I think the example of moving your arm using the neuron you don't understand biology is a perfect example.
Yeah,
Very fair.
definitely. Once something is a part of your body, it's very hard to look at stuff that is just so uncanny and non-existent to us. It's like magic and science, you know?
I think neuron and shit is magic. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, like, you know, magic seems crazy that you could do this thing and that thing, but like when you look at the miracle of life. Wow, and we're done here, ladies and gentlemen. Like you look at that, it's fucking fascinating. That sort of shit.
I don't know if we want to go here, but talking about Marvel, Marvel's wiki, where it likes to classify, has different classifications of shapeshifting.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Which I kind of forgot to bring up earlier.
Yep.
But
I'm going to throw in very quickly while you're reading
go
that
for it.
note. Mystique also at one point was Sherlock Holmes. Just want to put that in there.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, she was.
In her
deserves to
origins,
be.
she used to be dating Irene Adler, who is another mutant.
Love that.
Who can see the future. And it's not said specifically that she was Sherlock Holmes. But it's just said that she was dating Irene Adler and was a male detective back in the day. And it's like,
I see. Okay.
That's Sherlock Holmes.
That mutant is actually really interesting. I love that. That mutant that sees into the future is really interesting because it has a lot of things of. Oh, we're not going to get into it.
It's not a Foresight episode. This is a shape-shifting episode. Go back to the Omega.
God.
What am I fucking on about?
So there's different types of shapeshifting defined by the Marvel wiki. So there's metamorph, which is limited to the human forms, can't change the mass. So this is Mystique and Changeling. There is micro to megamorph, which is changing your size, Ant-Man. There is polymorph, which is fluid shape change effects, which your mass can expand, contract, stretch, reform. This is Mr. Fantastic.
Yep.
Excellent.
There is body morph, which is an elemental state changes, so you can turn your skin to metal or wood or gas, like something like that. So like
Plastic Man?
No, Plastic Man is a plastic form. But you can also change it to other things.
You can change it to the shit.
There's also Absorbing Man, but also I was thinking of there's an X-Men who does it, and I've just blanked. But he's Big Metal Man.
If anyone in the audience knows who it is, just leave a review with that word and nothing.
He's in X-Men. He's in Deadpool. Sorry, he's in Deadpool.
I see.
But yes, the Metal Man. I forgot his name. I'm going to kill myself.
Colossus.
Colossus!
Yeah. Sorry, that is such a this podcast thing to say. I forgot a lore fact or a character name. I'm going to kill myself.
I'm done.
Matt, you would not be alive. I'm just saying.
Oh my god, yeah. There's transmorph, which is changing from one state to another, which is going from your normal to your superhero form.
Yep.
So like werewolves,
Hulk.
like Hulk. And fun. Actually, no, I just remembered a fun fact about Colossus. His like metal thing comes from a different universe. He changes atoms from one universe to another. I don't know. They like to do that.
Of course they do.
Anyway,
What the fuck?
yeah, it's weird. Omnimorph, which is typically combined with meta and polymorph, basically able to change your mass, internal organ structure, anything really. And then there's Ubermorph, which doesn't have a description, and I'm very scared. I'm guessing that's God.
Yeah.
Which is like any godlike beings who can reality change.
I guess,
reality.
yeah.
Like just warp something to this and warp something out. Like Zeus can turn into a goose, and he can change anything.
Zeus can change into a goose.
He's into a goose. You know, like people can just change reality on a fundamental level.
Yeah. There's one, that's a really nice spot to tie us over, but there's one more example that I completely forgot that I was going to talk about because so many other ones were brought up. Time Lords in Doctor Who.
Oh my god, that's
they
such
regenerate.
an interesting shapeshifter.
Yeah.
And
they were
a gotcha moment. You said that it doesn't count if they don't do it willingly and they can't change back.
Well, actually...
Are you going to actually?
I am.
They can choose their form, right?
We have now been shown in the latest Doctor Who that not only can they force regeneration whenever they want to, they can just regenerate,
Okay.
They can influence how they look.
And they can
But
subconsciously
also,
do it
they
too,
can
right?
change back into a previous form.
There you go.
As we just saw Jodie Whittaker's 13th Doctor change back into David Tennant's.
Did we?
Yes, we did.
I hadn't heard about that.
He's
Yeah.
the 14th Doctor, isn't he?
Yeah, David Tennant is the 14th Doctor and the 10th Doctor.
What the fuck?
Yep.
I mean, look at Peter Capaldi was interesting because he subconsciously gave him that face.
Yeah.
Because Peter Capaldi played someone who he saved from Pompeii.
played a
guy-
Roman senator in Pompeii.
Damn
and,
you! I was fucking gonna get it before you.
in the Fires of Pompeii episode.
And you could see that as casting. There are only so many British people in Britain.
There's not enough.
Sorry,
British
no,
people. The island's too small.
The BBC is 3 actors and 3 monkeys and 2 props. Okay,
Yeah.
and 1 set in
We
Wales.
can't call British people though.
That's interesting. And then they kind of obviously it's he's a great actor. We want to cast in the role. He has already been in the show, but it's they're still tied in a reason for it, and it's to remind himself of the one time he did break a fixed point in time, and he did.
To at least it saves someone.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't do a big thing, but just to remind himself that sometimes he can choose, sometimes he can save people.
Sometimes he can ride in on a tank playing an electric guitar.
Sometimes he sure fucking can ride it on. And why the fuck can't he? You know?
Why can't he?
That's my
Sometimes
favorite.
he can become a shapeshifter.
Yeah, and even because there's I have not actually seen it yet because I don't know if I want to. But one of I think Jodie Whittaker's final episode is actually all about the Master unlocking the true secrets of regeneration and going, hey, just like this, snap his fingers, turns literally into the Doctor and goes, I'm going to go fuck up all of your relationships.
What
And
the
just
fuck?
goes around to like fuck
What
over
do you
all
mean?
the
What
Doctor's
the
friends.
fuck? It's the Master. He's the most contrarian little piece of shit on the
Yeah,
planet.
but I was thinking of it as more like an interesting shapeshifter. Now it's literally just a shapeshifter.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh. I kind of like it that it was like
yeah.
interesting because there's limitations, but it's like it comes back and you can choose, but not really. And now it's just like, oh, I can change my form.
I
Do you
don't
lose
know.
a life?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
But is the Doctor still a timeless child who can?
I don't know if the writers of Doctor Who know, to be honest with you. At least the current ones.
God.
Anyway, good old Chibnall. But anyway, yes, that brings us into I think a pretty good state of talking about shape-shifting and what the categories are. I think your categories was the Marvel categories that you brought in was very good.
They're very put on a power level kind of
Yeah,
thing. They're very much how do you define this? I like the questions. You know what I mean? Where do you draw the line on like?
Yeah.
Can they do that? Like willing, forced,
Yeah.
complete, not complete. I like questions, you know, like,
Yeah.
and you can go different on different spectrums and put people where, because like just defining on one word, I don't think we shouldn't restrict our shapeshifters to one word.
No.
Shapeshifters are supposed to be fluid. They're supposed to do what they want to do, you know?
Yeah.
I think we need to respect that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And that sort of, I mean, we've kind of, the last thing that I was going to make us kind of guide our conversation towards and talk about towards the end, we've sort of already discussed, and that is the sense of what we enjoy out of shapeshifters in media and what the interesting aspects of it are. And the big thing, for me at least, is just really the interest of paranoia that you can get from that the archetype of
We didn't even
the
discuss
shapeshifter.
The Thing, you know, the horror movie.
Yeah,
we didn't discuss
that's
horror movie kind of shapeshifting as well.
The Thing was one of the other 3 examples that I was
Yeah.
wanting to bring up, and that's kind of where I was getting to in this, because the Thing is the perfect example of a shape-shifting creature that is all about the paranoia side of it, and it is the direct archetype of we don't know a lot about it. It's weird, it's alien, it's creepy, we don't understand it, therefore it's scary, and who the fuck do I trust? We don't know what to trust. And that just perfectly sums up the paranoia side of like narrative building, world building that shapeshifting archetype can bring.
I like it.
Guy looks very displeased.
The Thing eats you.
Yes?
That's a very good reason to be paranoid about it.
Yeah, but it's not... But you're paranoid about the
I know it's the
person that
theme of the
could-
movie of like paranoia and distrust and stuff, but like Among Us gives me that as well. So like,
See,
This guy.
see, the thing about shapeshifters is there can be a good reason to be paranoid.
Yeah.
Like mimics in D&D, there can be a good reason, but also paranoia can also be like a bad thing when you turn to someone who just wants to exist and is not a solid state, you know, just wants to exist and do what they want to be and people not being able to let them do it. And I think that really interesting. What I like about Shapeshifters is they allow you to tell so many different stories.
Yeah.
Not only in the fact that like you can have fun with them, like powers can change, powers can be whatever they want, they can change. I love the type or like whatever like trope of a shapeshifter changing different forms to escape someone.
Yeah.
There's many stories like this.
Oh, yeah.
But the one in the D&D movie when the druids changing from form to form to form.
Oh, it's great.
So good.
Yeah.
So
100%,
good.
100%.
It's like, I love that. Just great. But I just love how, and it reflects society and reflects like, of we are not one person, we are different people throughout our lives, to quote Doctor Who, and we shouldn't just try and restrict to one state, and we should let people live fluidly in what they want to be. You know, I love that. It lets you tell so many different stories.
Yep.
I was going to say that my love of my favorite polymorph, my favorite shapeshifter. I forgot the word shapeshifter. I'm so sorry.
We've said it so many times.
I know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Yeah.
My brain is made of fucking Vaseline.
No, it's fake now. The word we've used it up. We can't say it.
It's gone now.
Once you've used a word so much, it's gone.
My favorite theme to do with shapeshifters in media, and the ones that I remember like most and enjoy the most, are when they're used as an example of freedom. Because I think a lot of the time there's like really good scenes and a lot of dynamic scenes. Yeah. Like, okay, creatively and visually as like video making, I like how it can be such dynamic scenes where you've got like the changing, as you say, the chase scenes, awesome shit. But also as like a thing of freedom. I don't think anyone has ever lived their entire life and not thought about changing some part of themselves. So seeing that on the screen of a person or a thing that can just flow between it, there's such a wonderful thing of freedom there that I really, really love.
100%.
Changing, even like small things like changing your haircut, changing facial hair, just being like, I want to be a different person.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but you can do it. And just seeing someone be able to do that as easy as it is. Yeah.
It's joy by proxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I like it.
Well, looking at the levels of shapeshifting we've seen today, I think directly the amount of stars you rate us on iTunes or Spotify should directly relate to how good of a shapeshifter you are personally.
Yeah.
So a 5-star, you can do whatever you want.
You're a timeless child at that point.
Yeah.
You're an Ubermorpher.
You're an Ubermorph.
Jesus.
If you're a 1-star, you might be able to get some like snake eyes.
You can turn into a rat.
You can turn into a rat. You're a bit of a Peter Pettigrew
You
type.
can stay in the Hawk Tobias.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Is that an animal reference?
Yes.
Oh no! We can't have animal references in this podcast. No.
I'm gonna have to go look. I'm gonna have to go read about Animorph now.
It's genuinely a good book series from what I've seen. People froth that shit. It looks like it's actually very dramatic.
I want to give a shout out this episode to our Norway viewers. We've been popping off in Norway.
Have we?
We were top 10 in fiction in Norway.
Let's fucking go,
and
Norway.
we were the second. I think we're third right now. We've been the second for a little bit in comedy fiction.
Hell yeah.
So
In Norway.
That's our
Norway.
niche, comedy fiction.
Norway, from Norway.
Fake comedy.
We love you. We love you.
Yeah,
and someone rated 5 stars on the Norway iTunes. So thank you.
So fucking glad.
Norway. There's no way I saw that coming.
Oh, no, you're gonna. Okay, they're gone. They're gone.
We lost them all. Goodbye.
Yeah, sorry.
I'll try to get back.
Yeah.
We hate Sweden.
Sorry, I can hear it.
No, but no Swedish viewers.
Oh, there's too many. There's not many Swedish viewers.
I can hear us right now.
No.
Dropping through the
Are we
charts.
Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Wait, no.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
So the real question: would you fuck a shapeshifter?
I would fucking. Oh my
Because
god.
I think it's
If
just
if my wife wasn't in the next room, I tell you, I would fuck a shapeshifter.
Think about it. You can do anything. Okay, obviously they need to be
Not a ditto.
consent. Yeah, they need consent. They can't be a ditto. But does that make it moral if they change into an animal? If they can give consent?
Yes.
You heard it here first. Guy loves bestiality.
And we're done.
And we're done.
Thank you for listening to Living by the Law. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. The link is in the description, and thank you in advance. Also, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at Living by the Law to keep updated on the latest about our podcast. We have been, and always will be, living by the law. Thank you for your company, and good night.